Hey everyone, it's Dumont Owen here. I'm a few minutes late, went downtown to get my vaccination, so I'm hoping I'll make it through this. No, I'm sure I will. I'm actually feeling very good, and it went very well, and so I'm here to say if you're in Cleveland, get your vaccination at the Cleveland Clinic. They were great. So anyway, that's why I'm not here today though. Before we get started, I want to check and see if you all can hear me. If you'll just drop a note in the box and let me know. Or more importantly, let me know if you are if you're not seeing it. That would be the thing to know. Anyway, it looks like you're seeing me okay. If this is your first time at one of my webinars, I'm going to ask you to look above where I'm appearing. There should be a box there where you can click to allow StreamYard to show your name. Facebook will not allow that unless you click that box, and then you'll always show up for me. And why do I want to know who you are? Well, not because I'm going to come to your house and try and sell you brushes or vacuum cleaners. I want to know who you are so that if I don't see your comment while you're talking, I can at least get back to you, or I can just, get a lively conversation going. I'm that kind of gal. I like to talk with people. So let me know if you would like this week's resources and you didn't register in time online to be on the live version of this, then just drop me a note below. Just give me your LinkedIn profile or your email, and I will get those to you. Tomorrow we'll be sending out the recording and the links to the resources I'm going to show you. So stay tuned. I've got some good stuff for you. Now, let me go over here. This is the part that always makes me a little nervous. I'm going to share my screen with you. Share a screen. Okay. Wait a second, I'm going to bring this up first. No, I don't. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, all right, so we've got that. Now it's going to let me pull it up, I think. Well, let's try this and see, okay? Slideshow, play from current slide. It did it! You should be, I'm so excited. You should be able to see my slides now, and it should read, hopefully, how to communicate your brand on LinkedIn. And that's what we're talking about. Now, those of you who know me know I'm all about personal branding and I'm all about LinkedIn, so you're not surprised. For those of you who don't know me, get ready to hear about personal branding and get ready to get excited. So today we're going to talk about, first of all, what a personal brand is and why that's so important. And then secondly, what makes a strong brand? Because the stronger your brand, the better you're going to be able to attract the clients and customers that you really want. Then we're going to talk about the key elements of a brand communication plan. I am going to show you everything you need to build a communication plan on just one page so that you can look at that. You can have it up on your bulletin board. Mine is, you can't see me pointing, but mine is over here. And I have that plan there. I can see the columns right now, and I use it every day. Okay, whoops, you just lost a slide. Okay. Okay, there we go. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to communicate your brand on LinkedIn. And I'm going to take you live onto LinkedIn, please, and show you some of that. So first of all, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dumont Owen. I'm a certified master personal brand strategist and digital branding strategist. I'm also a certified career coach and executive leadership and development coach. I left out the development on that. And I was in higher ed for 20 years, running career centers and teaching career development. So let's go on from there. First of all, what is a personal brand? And I want to take a moment here because It's so important that you understand what this is, because in order to really optimize your results on LinkedIn, you're going to need to know your brand and how to communicate it. So what is a personal brand? Well, it's a combination of three things. It's unique, it's a promise, and it has value. So a personal brand is unique because your brand differentiates yourself from your peers, all the other people who are playing in the same sandbox that you are. So for instance, if you are in personal branding or you're a LinkedIn coach or trainer, then you would be someone who would be playing in my same sandbox. You'd be one of my peers, but my brand would communicate how I'm different from them, because it is the important thing in terms of attracting people and getting them to buy your programs and packages isn't that you be the best. It's that you be unique, that you be different from others, because people don't buy the best. Well, we always hope we are, but that's not why we buy something. We buy it because it's different. It's different. It's our kind of different. You know, I didn't buy the house next door, and it's a perfectly nice house. In fact, it's probably a little bit nicer house than ours, but it's not my kind of house. It's not my kind of house. It's not that different like I like. So your brand communicates how you're different. It's also a promise, because your brand is absolutely authentic to you. You know, you are going to be the same in your brand, whether you're at church or you're out on the golf course or you're helping your son with his homework. You are always going to be the same because your brand is authentic. It's really you. And then finally, your brand communicates your value. And value is always related to relevance. If what you're communicating through your brand is not relevant to your target audience, then they're not going to see value in it. You know, if my dentist or a dentist in this area were to send me, you know, a brochure that or a coupon that said it was free for half price for implants, well, that would be really great. But if I'm not in the market for implants this month in time to take advantage of his coupon, then it's of no value to me. So your brand has to communicate your value. So your brand is unique because it differentiates you. It's a promise because it's authentic, and it communicates the value that you offer to your ideal clients. Okay, what makes a strong brand? Well, first of all, a strong brand is absolutely clear as to what it is. You're not going to mix this brand up with another brand. You might look at something like, you know, coffee. You know, you're going to pay more for a brand name of coffee when you're at the store than you will for generic coffee, right? And that's because it's very clear what it is. And it's very clear what that's about. So a brand is always very clear. You're not going to mix up that brand name with the generic name. Okay, it's also authentic. It's the real thing. It is really you. Your brand communicates authentically, and it's consistent. You're always the same. Like I said, you're the same at church as you are with your kids doing their homework, or you're not doing their homework, hopefully helping them do their homework. Okay, your brand is also your story. How did you get to here? What makes you different? What makes you unique? Why are people going to want to work with you rather than someone else? You know, my story is about losing my first business because I didn't understand all this stuff. So that's really part of my brand story. You know, I'm in personal branding because I didn't know anything about branding or marketing, and I had to close the doors on my first business. Is that a compelling story? Well, I hope so. And I hope it's compelling because it's true, because it absolutely is. Tragically, yeah, it is. Okay, your brand communicates or establishes your expertise. It makes you a thought leader in your field. And finally, your brand communicates value. And remember, value is always about relevance, that big R. If it's not relevant to your ideal client's problems and characteristics, they don't care. Doesn't have anything to do with them. Okay, so so we're talking today about how to communicate your brand, specifically on LinkedIn, but we're really talking about brand communications. And brand communications are going to cover, all of the arena, all of the ways that you communicate your brand. So you may do, person to person, real life, brick and mortar networking when we're not having a pandemic. So that is part of your communications plan. It may be that that you can communicate in a lot of different ways or have a lot of different audiences. And that's all part of your communications plan. What you want to do is build a brand communications plan that covers all those things. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So what are the key elements of your communications plan? Well, one is the target audience. If you don't know who they are, how are you going to provide them with a solution? If you don't know their problems, how are you going to provide them with a solution? So you really have to know your target audience and know them well. You have to be really clear on your goals, because in order to create your communications plan should be designed to help you realize at least one of your business goals, right? So your planning and your brand communications should be linked to your goals for your business. Your brand communications plan also includes messaging. And we're going to take a minute and talk about that, because we're talking about the primary messages, the core messages that you communicate through your brand. We're going to talk about tactical planning. And by tactical planning, I mean the nuts and bolts of how you're going to communicate your brand. And we're going to talk about metrics. And the reason we're talking about metrics is because, you can spend a whole lot of time out there trying to communicate your brand. But if you don't have the metrics to analyze what you've done, then you don't know whether it worked or not. And you don't know what part of what you were doing worked. So you really need those metrics to keep your plan on track, and to make and to be able to analyze what worked and what didn't, and then tweak that. Okay, it's also going to have some kind of schedule attached to it. I like content calendars because you can put everything in there. And we're going to talk about that in a little while. And I'm actually going to give you access to a content calendar. Okay, so the first thing that we talked about, let's go back here for a minute. The first two things we talked about in terms of our brand communications was our target audience and our goals. So let's look at that. The first thing that we have to get clear on, or the first thing we have to do in developing our plan, is get clear on three things. We need to be very clear on what our goals are. And our social media goals, our LinkedIn goals, are based on our business goals. Your goals for social media should support and contribute to your achieving your business goals. Okay, so social media goals are always related to business goals. Your niche is your ideal clients. And hopefully by this point in your business, you've realized that you can't be all things to all people. I really wish you could. I tried, God knows I tried, and I ended up failing. And I failed because I tried to be all things to all people. I tried to be the career coach who could do assessment, who could help your son get into college, who could help you get that next promotion, or it could help you make that next transition. It was all about that stuff, but I didn't know how to get it out there and communicate my brand, or to communicate to my niche. I was trying to be all things to all people. Your son, your daughter, you, your parents, everyone you knew, I was trying to help. And then finally, you have to get really clear on your brand. Now, remember that I told you that my experience in higher education included running career centers. Well, that's where I first learned about the importance of branding, and also the importance of being able to assess the elements of our brands. You know, when we talk about career planning and career development, we do talk about assessment and assessing your brand. And what goes into a brand? Well, a brand is, you know, your purpose and your passions and your values, your mission in life, you know, what your strengths are, you know, your personality characteristics. All of those things are part of your personal brand. And guess what? When you get really clear on those things and you are able to communicate those things to the right people at the right time in the right way, you're going to nail it. You are going to nail that promotion, or you are going to nail that next client or that next account, because you are communicating who you are, what you do, how you do it, the results, and how you do it differently from everyone else. I just repeated that, didn't I? But that's really what it's all about. So let's keep going. Part of your brand communications plan, remember I pointed out, I'm going to go back here for a minute. Part of your brand communications plan is really communicating your key messages. And I want to take a little bit of time here to talk about that. We all hopefully have key messages, or a key message that we are trying to communicate. You know, for me, it's, you know, personal branding can absolutely make it possible to achieve your dreams, whether that's in industry, in the professions, or whether that's as a business owner. And that's really one of my key messages. A second key message that I have is, yeah, you know, LinkedIn is this big, hairy monster that seems so confusing and so big. You know, how can you ever be heard among the din, you know, above the din, all the noise of all the people trying to make their brand heard? And so that's a second message for me. So, and then a third message for me might be, you know, the most important thing that you can do to promote your brand on LinkedIn is to communicate it consistently, to always be consistent in what you do. Okay, so there's the three messages. So let's go with that first one. You know, it's really important. If you are really clear on your brand, you can achieve whatever it is that you're going for professionally, or in business, or in life for that matter, but I'm not a life coach, so we're not going to go there. So then I would want you I'm going to have I'm going to have three messages. No more than three, no less than three. If you only have one message, people think you're a one-trick pony. That's all you know. You know, if you have four messages, they find it confusing. They think you're confused. You don't know what you want to be when you grow up. So you want to have three primary messages. And one of my primary messages is that personal branding will help you achieve whatever you want. So one of the supporting messages I might have there is, you know, I completely blew up my business because I didn't understand the importance of branding. But once I discovered that, I was able to succeed in my very next business. I'm a success story. So that's a supporting message. And then I'm going to have a primary message. And for my primary message, I'm going to have three supporting messages. And then for each of those supporting messages, I'm going to have 3 points that I'm going to call proof points. Okay, so one might be, well, okay, so I'm saying as my primary message, if you have a clear and powerful personal brand, you can achieve what you want professionally and in your in life, or whatever, professionally, whatever that means, in industry or with your own business. A supporting message is, look, I blew my whole career up. Well, not my whole career, but I blew my first business up. That's a pretty, but when I discovered personal branding, I finally got it. And that was, and I got it. And then the proof points might be, number one, I made it the second time around. I succeeded. Number two, I was so clear on my brand that people hired me over other people because they got it. They understood what I was talking about. And three might be, because I come from a higher education background, people find my instruction and my coaching really clear and actionable. So those could be three proof points that I had for my message. So primary message, personal branding will set you free. You will achieve what you want. You will achieve what you want in your profession and in business. Two, supporting message. I totally screwed it up. I blew up my business. But I'm here to tell you that this can be done. And then for my three proof points, it might be one, I blew up my business, but now I have a successful one with so many connections, so many people on my email list, so many people, as followers. So I would have three proof points that involved metrics. So one might be that I succeeded. Two might be my, the number of people in my list. Three might be, some really great, might be a really great testimonial for that. Okay, so remember, it's the rule of three. Three primary messages, three supporting messages for each of those primary messages, and then three proof points for each of those supporting messages. Do this, put it on one page, and I'm telling you, you have it made. You will have defined your messaging, okay? Next, I want you to think about metrics. Now, what are metrics? Metrics are measurements. They are what we call in the trade, in the profession, those of us who are experts, we call them key performance indicators, because what they do is they indicate how your performance is going. Okay, so whether what you're doing is working, all right, because it would be pretty bad or pretty disappointing, I should say, to go for an entire year thinking that you are communicating your brand clearly, and it's working. You're getting followers, you're getting connections, you're getting all these things, only to get to the end of the year and look at your metrics and they kind of go, no, you didn't do it. Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. In your one-page marketing plan, you are going to list the exact metrics you're going to use to assess your progress. And remember the magic three, the rule of three. Not only are you going to have three primary messages and each of those will have three supporting messages, and each of your supporting messages will have three proof points. You're also going to have ways to measure those, okay? And the rule of three says you're going to do this every 3 months. That's the magic three in metrics. Every 3 months, you're going to look at how you're doing. So what are you going to look at? Well, one would be reactions. That's when people like or applaud or heart or whatever they do to your post, or a post or a group comment or something like that. How many times they comment on what you said and how many times they share it. Another thing that will give you an indicator of how well you're doing is profile views. Are you still getting the same number of profile views that you were before you started communicating your brand? If so, if that hasn't increased, then you might want to take another look at your brand, at your marketing plan, and see what may be out of order here, what isn't working for you. Also look at how many people are inviting you to connect. That's a good measure of how you're doing. Look at the people who accept your invitations. A lot of that can be how clearly you communicate your brand when you're inviting them to connect. Remember, we're talking about communicating your brand. And when you invite people to connect on LinkedIn, the one thing you absolutely, I may make you take an oath at the end of this. Maybe, I promise never, never, never to send a generic invitation. And what's a generic invitation? Well, on LinkedIn, it's when you click that connect from any place other than the profile of the person that you're inviting to connect. Because if you connect with them on their profile, you can send them a short invitation, branded invitation, that's of 300 characters or less, including white spaces. So that's like a few sentences, okay? But in those few sentences, you're going to communicate your brand, who you are, what you do, how you do it, and hint at the value that you offer, because that's what makes people connect. And then finally, you're going to look at conversions. How many of these people actually looked at your material and then followed your call to action? Did you ask them to subscribe to your newsletter? How many people did? Did you ask them to sign up for your free gift? How many people did? Did you ask them to schedule a free consultation? How many did you have? All of these are metrics that show you how clearly you are communicating your brand. Okay. You also, in terms of communicating your brand, need a tactical plan. And by tactical plan, I mean the tactics you're going to use to communicate your brand. And LinkedIn, if you Google the LinkedIn tactical plan, they have this really nice chart that tracks the metrics that will measure each of your goals and each of your tactics. It's a really nice, they call it a tactical plan. So Google that. I tell you what I'll do. I'm also going to put a link to that in the resources when I send out the recording tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that because it's going to have that link to it. And so in your tactical plan, you want to do 3 things. First, you want to select the format that you're going to use. What exact format? Are you going to do video? Are you going to do slide presentations? Are you going to do short articles? What's the format? And here, the biggest, most helpful piece of advice I think I can give you here is to do what feels comfortable. Video is really hot right now. Presentations are really hot right now. But look what's also hot right now. What is it? The one with phones. I can't think of the name right now. It's going to drive me nuts. Hold on. I've got to look at this. Clubhouse. Yes, Clubhouse, the new iPhone network that's only talk. So you need to understand that format. You also need to decide what channels you're going to use to distribute that. And by channels, I mean, is it going to be in brochures, on business cards? Is it going to be part of your one-on-one networking? Is it going to be part of what you do at networking events? Excuse me. Is it going to be a blog post? Oh, now I'm going to sneeze. Oh, I hope I didn't just blow out your ears. Sorry. Is it going to be a blog post? Are you going to send it out on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok? Where is it going to be? And then you want to add all of those to a schedule, that shows you what you're doing. I always suggest to you, and you don't have to take my suggestion, but I suggest that you plan out 3 months worth of content at one time. Now that at one time, I don't mean that you have to sit down and do it in an hour, but I would do it in a day. And I would use a calendar that you can, I have a big calendar so I can erase and, reposition things and everything. I like to have that sense of control that a pencil gives me. But it may be easier for you to do it in some other way. What I will tell you is make sure you do it. And once you've got it, if you're like me and you need that paper and pencil experience, once I do that, I then put it into a content calendar. So all my links and everything I need is right there. Why? Because that enables me to create a good piece of content in less than an hour. So that's why I do it. So check it out. See what works for you. Okay, you need to have a marketing plan. And I'm a big fan of one-page marketing plans. And I'm going to, tomorrow when I send out resources, I'm going to give you a link to a one-page marketing plan. This is not my own marketing plan. This is not something I developed. It was developed by Crystal Clear Communications, and I borrowed it with permission to share with you. So if you want the original, you can find it through them, but I will send you this version of it with a link to them in your resources tomorrow. So in a one-page marketing plan, you're going to include these things. 1, what are your goals and objectives? And take the time to make your goals SMART goals. What do I mean by SMART goals? They're going to be specific. They're going to be measurable. They're going to be achievable. You can actually get them done. They're going to be realistic. Given your resources and the time available and your talents, is it realistic to expect that you can achieve this goal? They're also going to be time bound, which means that they have an end date. So let's say that my goal is to increase my LinkedIn network. That's a really good goal. But it's kind of vague, like how much am I going to increase my LinkedIn network? What's going to be significant for me? How am I going to do it? And when is this going to be done by? What's the drop dead date? So if I wanted to make that clear, then I'm going to increase my LinkedIn network. I could say, I'm going to increase my LinkedIn network by 40% in 3 months using, and I could actually list a couple of the tools I would use. Okay, so that's a SMART goal. It has a beginning and end. It's measurable, it's realistic, hopefully, and it's achievable. Okay, next you're going to want your marketing strategies. Now, these are the big strategies, the big rocks. What are you using? Are you going to be focusing on your blog? If so, are you going to share it in other areas? This is where you're going to get very, very specific about the strategies that you're created and the goals that they relate to. Okay, so if you have 3 goals, 3 SMART goals, okay, then your marketing strategies will also be very specific and relate to those SMART goals. Okay, so you're going to have specific strategies related to specific goals. Then you're also going to have your metrics. How will you know when you get there? We just talked about that. You're going to create buyer avatars. Now, what is a buyer avatar? Well, an avatar is a character, isn't it? It's a semi-fictional character that represents someone's characteristics or traits. There was a movie Avatar, and if you saw that, you might think you have to be blue, but you don't. But you do need to create buyer avatars that have the same characteristics that your ideal clients do. They have the same demographics and locations, that have the same buyer behaviors, that go through the same kind of process when they're looking to buy some of your services and products. Where do they get their information? Where do they hang out? Are you going to find them on Facebook, or are they going to be on LinkedIn? Or are they going to be on Instagram or maybe Clubhouse we'll soon know. But the thing that I want you to get really clear on is their behaviors, who they are, because if you know who they are, you also know their challenges and what they're trying to achieve. And you want to relate everything you put out there to those challenges. So you need really clear buyer avatars. You really need to understand them. And you really need to be very clear on what the benefits you offer to that particular client are, the services that you offer. You're also going to want your primary messages. So in my case, I would have those 3 messages, right? Personal branding helps you achieve what you want. LinkedIn may look like a big hairy monster, but you can do it. And you may not know what you're doing at first, but trust me, this is going to pay off big. So those could be, or you just need to know how to do it. Those could be my 3 messages, my 3 primary messages. Then I would have 3 supporting messages for each of those primary messages, and then 3 proof points that map to those. Okay, and then finally, you're going to include a call of action, or your calls to action. Maybe for one of your goals, you have one call to action. For another one, you have a different one. So you want to get really clear on those and how you're going to use them. Okay, another part of creating your content plan or your brand communications plan is creating a content calendar. And this can seem really, really intimidating. What I want you to remember is that you're only going to plan 3 months of content at a time. You may want to just plan 1 month of content until you get used to this, but you're going to plan it ahead. And why are you going to do this? Because then when it comes time to sit down and develop that content, you can do it quickly. It's not intimidating. It's not this horrible, big, gigantic task because you have everything you need at your fingertips. So let's take a look at this. This is a picture of the content calendar that I developed for my team. Your team may use a very different format, but this is just an idea of what you can do. And I'm giving this to you. I will give you the example, the link to the example, and a link to a blank one that you can customize however you want. Okay, so the first row on my content calendar, okay. Anyway, is the week and the date in the week. In other words, this one was for the week starting February 1st. And then I have the dates, the days of the week, because it's easier for me to visualize that way. And for LinkedIn, the best days of the week are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So those are the days that you really want to emphasize, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. For Facebook, it's different. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and different times of the day. So what you want to do is either get online and Google the best days to post on those, or wait for me to send it to you and when I send out the resources, because I will send that to you. Okay. Next, you're going to want your theme, and I like to have a theme per month. So my theme for this month is personal branding, because creating or establishing your professional brand is the first pillar of the social selling index on LinkedIn. So this month, we're really focusing on personal branding, which helps you establish that personal and professional brand. Okay, the event. If I'm having an event that week, that's going to be here. So my event is going to be a promo for a Build Your Brand, probably webinar that I was doing. Okay, then I'm going to have the topic. So the topic in this might be how to promote your personal brand on LinkedIn, or how to communicate your personal brand on LinkedIn. And then the format, I decided to do it as a webinar. So that could be the format. The distribution, I'm going to put it on my blog, I'm going to put it on YouTube, I'm going to put it on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So those are all going to be mentioned in my distribution. An image. Now, I love image, and fortunately, Google loves images too. So you want to be sure to add some multimedia in the form of images to your LinkedIn profile to really promote this. So on your LinkedIn profile and on your posts that you do, you want really rich images. My favorite place to get images is Unsplash, Unsplash, unsplash.com. They have photographs from photographers, professional photographers all over the world. You put in your word and you can pull up all these different visuals and images. I love it. It's where I go, but that's my personal preference. You may like something completely different. Go with what you love. Okay, you may even want to design your own image on Canva. Okay, it could be a video. I could upload it as native video, or it could be live video like what I'm doing right now. There could be a link there to a webinar that I did someplace else. Maybe I'm linking to a webinar that's on my blog. And then I go into week 2. So that's a basic content calendar. The advantage is that when I get to this week on Monday, I know what we're talking about this week. I know what webinars I have coming up. I know what I want to promote. I know what format it's in, and I have all of my stuff right there. It's a great feeling. Okay, now resources. After today, I'm going to send you, tomorrow, I'm going to send you a link to the recording. I'm also going to include a link to a one-page marketing plan and a link to the content calendar that I just showed you. I'll give you 2 links. One will be to a calendar that's partially filled in, and then there will be a link to one that isn't filled in so that you can customize it for your own use. And just to show you what a swell gal I am, I'm also going to include a link to a SMART goal and SMART strategies or SMART strategy planning worksheet that I developed that will let you set up your SMART goals and then develop the strategies that will support those. Okay, so this is the end of this particular presentation. I'm going to show you this just for a minute, and I will also include the link in the stuff I send you tomorrow, so you're not going to lose touch with me. But if you want to contact me, I'm at DuMont@DuMontOwen.com. Here's my other contact information. My website is kind of screwy right now. You don't want to go there, but it will be up, and I will be offering a new free gift very, very soon. Okay, now, real briefly, I'm going to get that down. I'm going to keep sharing my screen though, and I'm going to jaunt over here and go to LinkedIn. And let's see, I'm hoping you are seeing this, but I don't really have any way of knowing if you are. I'm just going to show it to you. I'm going to assume you're still with me. If you're not, then I will leave all this information in the resources I send you. One of the places that you want to emphasize your brand is on your profile. And there are 3 places that you can really brand on your profile. One is your banner. And you can do this in Canva and design your own banner if you want. Another one is your picture, and you want it to be professional, but it doesn't have to be done by a professional photographer. It doesn't have to be a professional headshot. If you have a professional headshot, that's great, use it, but it doesn't have to be. And then the final place that you are going to communicate your brand on your profile is here. And that's in your headline, Digital Branding Strategist. This is mine. Or behind my name, I have Master Personal Brand Strategist. Didn't want you to forget my name either. DuMont Owen, PhD. It's one of those weird PhDs. Master Personal Brand Strategist, Digital Branding Strategist, LinkedIn Trainer and Coach. What else do I have here? Career Executive Leadership Coach. I help coaches and consultants build LinkedIn sales funnels that convert connections to clients. And that is what I do. So I'm okay with that. Now, another place where you can really promote your brand is right below your profile. When you look on your own profile, you're going to see this section for featured. And if I want to add something to my featured section, I just click that plus. I can add anything. I can add presentations, I can add images, I can add copies of my licenses and certificates. I can even add webinars. But in order to add a webinar, be sure that the webinar is less than 20 minutes or it won't link properly. But you can post your webinar or your live video on YouTube and then link to it from your page and you're good to go. Okay, you can also participate in groups. So I'm going to go to my group page and I'm going to look and say, okay, here's Win Cleveland. Okay. Will they come up? Yes, they did. So I can go on here and you see we have all of these, postings that people have done. Here's one for a lunch and learn. Here's, I love this. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. All we have is now. So if I want to promote my brand a little bit, I could click that and say, hey, this is a great example of communicating your brand with a little sense of mystery kicked in and urgency for a bonus. That's not very good, but you get my point. When you comment on someone and engage with them, they are going to see your LinkedIn headline. Remember, mine said Dumont Owen, PhD, Master Personal Brand Strategist, because I want them to see that Master Personal Brand Strategist right up front. So that's another way to do it. Another way to promote your brand or to communicate your brand is in your news feed. Right here, you can, just click and you can share someone's information. Like right here, you can click share, and then you have an option. You can share to everyone, anyone, or you can go to anyone in Twitter. I usually avoid that one. I'm just a little paranoid about Twitter. I can show it only to my connections, or I can show it only to specific group members, and here it will have me pick the group, or I can share it with, related to certain events. So if I look at group members, at groups, it's going to go down through all my groups and I can pick which group I want. So that's a really great way to do it. Okay, another way to promote your brand or to communicate your brand on LinkedIn. Come on. Okay, is to actually what LinkedIn calls engage with insight. And what does that mean? It simply means that you have engaged with someone's post with insights. And insights mean you're looking at their content. So how to hire for hard to fill roles. Well, if I wanted to establish a relationship with Frontier, I would probably put a comment there and say, one of the most, and don't forget, one of the most important things, you have to do or the most important things in getting those hard to fill roles is a powerful personal brand. So I could promote my brand that way. Okay, and then another way, and so many times we forget this. Let me go to messaging. Oh, wait, let me go to network. I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so I'm going to go into my connections and let's choose, I'm just picking someone. I have okay, so Tyler Madden. Now we are a first degree connection. And remember, you can only communicate directly with first degree connections. So I could send Tyler a message that I have pre-written. I advise all my clients to keep a file on their desk with, cut and paste templates that they can use. But I'm going to send them a message from there, but I'm going to customize it for him. So it might be, hi Tyler, glad we connected here on LinkedIn. I'm a master personal brand strategist and I offer a free And I have a free workbook you can use to assess your personal brand. Would you like to receive it? If so, just reply yes. So if he replies yes, I'll send it to him. I have his permission to send him something. So he has given me permission to communicate with him. So, next week I might follow up and say, hey, Tyler, I sent you that personal brand assessment workbook. Did you get a chance to check it out? Love to hear from you. And that's how you build that relationship. Okay, so you can communicate your brand through your profile, completely doing your profile, by putting multimedia on your profile, by participating in groups, by creating and curating high quality content. And curating means you review it and you share the best content with comments, engage other people's content with insights, or get permission or do permission messaging by getting their permission to communicate. And that is basically all there is to that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Okay, now I can go over here and check and see if we're getting any questions. Okay, who is this? Oh dear, I can't tell who you are. Sorry. But, the question is, what's the best way to assess your personal brand? There are a number of ways that you can do this. And I mentioned some of those, and we have a personal branding unit here in the group. But pay attention over the next few weeks, because I'm going to be dropping in some information on how you can assess your personal brand. If you're interested in getting my help in assessing your personal brand, just shoot me an email or DM me, direct message me here on Facebook or on LinkedIn. My email is Dumont, DUMONT, @DumontOwen.com. And I will be happy to share with you how I help my clients assess personal brands. So, any other questions over here? Oh, yes, and I will give you several, a couple of options, because I use a branding survey with some people. Other people like to use a different approach, and I can help with all of those. So it's time to say goodbye. This is Dumont Owen. It has been great being here and talking with you about personal branding and how to communicate your brand on LinkedIn. And I almost was tempted. I'm not going to do it. No, I am going to do it. Happy brands to you until we meet again. Oh, that was terrible. With that, I really am going to say goodbye. Dumont Owen, ta-ta for now.